Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Backstick Podcast. I'm Jamil Roberts, and I'm joined here as usual by Dom Okus. Dom, two things for you, mate. One, how are you? And two, I feel like we need to get this out of the way early on in the show, right? I want you to have a word with the listeners and tell them what they need to do immediately before we get in to the content of this episode. So I'll take it away, mate.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this, like maybe I'm in your car or your headphones, I just need you to turn this bit up. So like whatever volume you've got for me, just turn it up a little bit. If you're watching this, just come closer. Why have you not subscribed? Why? Tell me why. Because I know you're enjoying the content. You're back again. You're here to listen to this wonderful story. We've got a great guest today. I just don't understand why you haven't liked, why you haven't subscribed, why you're not maybe engaging with the content on the social media. Because I know you're loving it. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the engagement. I'm seeing the love, but I just need more. So Jam, like, I don't know what we got to do. Like, do we have to start going to people's doors, start knocking on doors,
We
asking
can do
questions
that,
in
mate. We
person?
can do that.
Like, I don't know, but I just need people to subscribe. But everyone who has done already, we appreciate the love. And Jam, to answer your question, I'm doing great. Obviously, I've got the Jamaica t-shirt on right now. You're wearing a hat. So I guess you're cold where you are. I'm on an island vibe right now. So I guess you're cold where you are. But no, doing good, mate. Had a good weekend. And just looking forward to chatting to our guest today, man.
Yeah, lovely, mate. Lovely, good to hear. And you mentioned the hat for those that are watching on the YouTube. I'm actually sporting the hat here of my new club. I've signed with Truro City back in England in the National League South. So up the Tinners. And anyway, let's get into the episode. So yeah, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce a really good lad. Had the pleasure of coming across him last season when I was at Chattanooga. He's made quite a name for himself amongst USL League One. Yeah, Aaron Walker, how are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm good. I appreciate you guys having me on. This is a cool little deal you got going, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
I appreciate it,
Appreciate it, man.
mate. Yeah, and I mean it goes both ways. We're excited to have you here, mate. And as I said, I play, mate. I've played against yourself, and you probably don't remember playing against me when I was younger. I know you've played professional football for about 27 years now, so um, I'm joking. No,
That's honestly
no, but we had the pleasure of spending a small amount of time together when sort of you were looking around to get back into the league midway through last year. So I guess that might be a good place for us to start, really. In going back to 2024, what? How come you didn't re-sign with Greenville? Going into that 2024 season, or did you have offers? I know you don't have to name clubs, you don't have to sort of go into any sort of detail, but what was the reason for you just kind of taking half a season step away from the game?
yeah. Good question to start. I think I think everything happens for a reason, and basically, long story short, Greenville John Parks, who was the manager, stepped away, and they decided to make a new hire, and the new hire kind of saw the team going in a different direction, and that's just the business, and that's the way that it goes. So he wanted to bring in some new guys, kind of revamp the midfield, and you know, time to look elsewhere, time to start a new journey. So that's what I did. Was talking to a few other clubs around the league. Had some offers, tried to negotiate a little bit, and then things sort of fell through at one or two different places, and I kind of ended up come late February without a club. So it was an interesting thing for me. I obviously wanted to keep playing. I had to kind of figure out, okay, maybe this is the time to hang it up. Maybe I should go into coaching. All types of different things went into my head, and but there was something that wasn't I wasn't ready to give it up just yet. So I kept training, started actually training with Atlanta United to just to stay fit, work a bit, and see if anything could pop up, because it felt like clubs were kind of knocking at the door, but not really having anything substantial to offer me. So it was like, breadcrumbing's not a great word, but I just felt like something was right there for a couple, so I was like, I got to keep going, got to see what I can do here. And then met you at Chattanooga. Ian called me here at Tormenta and said, we feel like we're missing someone like you. And I got a really good vibe from him. So ended up coming here towards the end of 2024. We didn't have the best stretch of games when I was here, but I really believe in Ian and what he's doing, and that's why I wanted to come back here for 2025. So a bit of an interesting year in 2024 for me, like just trying to stay fit, especially at my age, like just a bit of a whirlwind. But now, like I said, I feel like things happen for a reason, and I'm very happy with where I'm at.
Oh, mate, that's quality. And, I'm happy you're in a place now, that you feel like you can start kicking on again. Did you play in TST in the summer?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, how was that?
Blurred that out. Yeah, that was so much fun. I believe it was 2017 is when I played for FC Cincinnati and USL, and one of the guys that played for that team, Mike Millay, put the team together for Natty. So it was all these older guys that used to play for Natty, and just quality dudes. Like it's such good people. It was so much fun. We didn't have a great tournament. I think a lot of guys were like, "Oh, this will be all right," and it, we kind of got put into a tough group and bounced early. But
who was in that group?
We had Reggae Rovers, who I think made it pretty far.
They made the final, I think, didn't they?
Either the final or the semi-final.
Yeah, definitely at least the semi. I remember watching.
We had Burnley, which was JJ Watt's team. They weren't great, but it was cool playing against JJ Watt. I think the highlight of my career actually is I remember turning him and he kind of slipped and fell in one of the games, and I just like, there's no way I just did that. I wish I had the clip, but I gotta find it. It was unbelievable. We
can find it.
This guy is, everybody's like, oh, he's big, but until you see those people up close, it is
like big dude,
ridiculous.
Yeah,
like,
he's a monster.
Yeah. Straight up at a refrigerator. It's ridiculous. And then the other team we played was a good team as well. I can't remember, but they advanced out of the group.
Yeah.
I can't remember the team, but they also were very good. But overall, insane experience. Like,
It's mad how big it's become, isn't it? Like, Dom, do you keep up with it when it's on?
Yeah. So I see it. Stoke United went. Was it last year? They went. I know they're like a big YouTube, and now they're in non-league. The Como team played. I don't know if it was this last year or the team before, but they went. I think Fabregas played one of the years. So yeah, it's big, man. It's sick. Even all the content they do around it as well. It's sick.
Yeah, mate. My old club, Plymouth Argyle, back in England, like they've got a team going into it this year. It's the reach that it's got is crazy at this point.
Yeah,
like,
crazy.
Yeah, like I remember. Obviously, you met Gustavo, didn't you? When you came in too, and he was at NCFC the first year of TST. And he said like they got free tickets to every single game, and he said firsthand like it's unbelievable there. Like watching it on TV is fun, but like actually it's such a different experience. Like you can see why it's so popular. Like it's like a big party, and obviously you played in it, Aaron. Like it must have been like so cool looking around. Like Nanny's over there, for example, or like some of these bigger teams. Like bringing in like I don't know, just A-listers to come and play in it. Like it's such a different weird vibe that I just think looks so fun from the outside. Like why people like are drawn to it.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like seeing every year more and more celebrities are involved, and it just meshes like so many like walks of life, and like people you've played with when you were a youth, people who are NFL players. Like I've obviously didn't mention Ocho Cinco was on our team, so I was like,
Yeah.
he was on our team, and this guy is insane. He's like one of the coolest people ever. Like so down to earth. Like drove us around. Just humble. He's just like everything that people says he is. He's the man, and he's a freak athlete still at his age. Like we're doing crossing and finishing, and the guy's jumping, like clearing the goal. I'm just like, what's going on here? It's bad.
Madness.
What was his tech? What was his tech like though? Be honest.
Yeah, yeah. The silence is deafening. Silence is deafening. Yeah. Say no more. Say no more.
He would pull some stuff out now and again. So like he's a big soccer guy. Like he loves FIFA. People that know, he's a huge FIFA guy, and he loves watching the game, and he could pull some stuff out for sure.
I love it.
Top guy, and the tournament there's such a buzz around it. Like in person, it's crazy. Like you said, watching it on TV is one thing, but when you're there, there's such a buzz around the grounds. It's so cool.
Yeah, man. I think it's only going to get bigger as well, isn't it? But yeah, that's something I'd love to do as well. There's there's a rumor. Obviously, it's held in Cary, North Carolina, and that's where my college team won the national championship. So there's like always there was a rumor one year, and I don't know how true it is, but who's the dude that does the college game day? It's like, is it Pat McAfee? Is that his name?
Yeah.
So Pat McAfee is
That was the other team in our group.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
obviously he's a big WVU fan, and obviously West Virginia University and Marshall University, like two powerhouses now in college soccer. So there's rumors flying around every year that Pat McAfee wants to like create like a West Virginia like all-star team to like go to it. And listen, Pat, like I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Like just because I'm not on US soil, like the Tinners are keeping me fit. Like I'm ready to go.
I was gonna say it seems like a storybook for you to get back there. You played there when you were at Marshall, right?
Yeah.
Played there when you were at Marshall, and I think you need to get back there. I know your current club situation it's gonna be tough, but maybe in that. It'd be a shame for you to pull up with a hammy for a couple of weeks around that time.
It'd be awful, wouldn't it? Yeah. Between the months of you know.
Have a flight to North Carolina, do my rehab. This.
Yeah, specialist, right? I love it. I'll just keep that one in the calendar.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, all right, mate. Well, just bringing it back to you for a second. So obviously we kind of touched on 2024 and, you know, kind of the difficulty of like almost call a spade, you know, almost falling out of the game. You know, and you knew deep down that it wasn't for you. And, you know, you touched on the kind of the end of 2024 and how much you enjoyed that experience. And, you know, sort of just looking ahead to 2025 now. Yes, you're back with Tormenta, but you're in a different role now. You're in that player coaching role. You know, we've both played under Ian. You know, what does has that dynamic changed between the two of you? Now you've gone from kind of a senior player to actually, you know, on the staff, or, you know, is it kind of business as usual and you're just getting drip fed new responsibilities and learning as you go? You know, how does that sort of dynamic work?
Yeah, it's very much the latter. I would say that the relationship's still the same, just kind of drip fed, you know, new responsibilities and roles. I wanted to have something to, you know, I'm doing my B license right now, so I can kind of learn a lot this year. At the end of the year, I'll have my B license, and then I'll know, yeah, like this is kind of something I want to pursue or not. And like I said, the dynamic between us is still the same. I only got to work with him for 3 months last year, but what I really, really enjoyed was how much he valued my opinion. He knows, I've been around the game for, like you said, about 27 years pro. So, so it's nice to have him, value my opinion and have my input taken into consideration. And so that was kind of the thought, is like, look, you can help with a lot of different roles, responsibilities, player coach, help plan trainings, help break down film, help do things, just be another resource and another voice to back the staff too. So I'm really excited for how this is going to play out. I think we brought in a really talented group here this year, and kind of being that like gap between coach and players. It's a unique role because obviously I have to be, with the coach's side, and then if the players start to feel a certain type of way, I got to have the players back. So it's a bit of a balance, but nonetheless, I'm really excited for it.
Do you think the players see you as a coach, or do they see you as one of the lads?
That's the tough part. So I'm trying to you have to do both, because obviously, as you all know, these are long seasons and tensions can ride high up and down throughout the year. So I got to have the backs of both of them. And but it's a fun balance. It's something I'm navigating, and at the end of the day, we all want what's best for the team, and we all want to be successful. So we're going to do our best to put that foot forward, and very much learn as I go. So like I said, it's exciting, but we'll see.
I like it, mate. I like how diplomatic you are. I feel like I certainly can imagine being in that Tormenta changing room and sort of knowing, Ian, his mood can change by the second, and he won't mind me saying that. He's lost his rag with me many a time in the past, and he's also he's also probably given me, the top five tightest hugs of his life. So we've seen both sides of it, our relationship. I feel like there's an opportunity for you there, mate, that when he loses his head, you just sort of go put your arm around that lad and be like, don't worry, mate, I've got you, like, I'll look after you. Yeah, one of them ones, isn't it, mate?
Just smooth it over as best I can.
yeah. Step into the office, fucking prick him, innit?
Yeah. Exactly.
Not Ian, by the way. I wasn't calling Ian a prick. I love Ian Cameron. I love him to death. Did he? We had a funny little spat actually when we played Tormenta at home this season, where me and him got into it at half time, and then I ended up scoring in the second half, and I was giving it back to him, whatever. And I saw him at the end of the game, and I genuinely all that crossed my mind was like, why was I arguing with this bloke? I love Ian. I'll always love Ian. I loved working under him. We achieved something brilliant together, and it was just like, I don't know, tensions ran high on that one particular day or one particular evening. But like, with the one thing with Ian that you can always rely on is that it gets left on the pitch, right? Like, I don't think he's one to kind of hold the grudge after, and he's a really good human being. So definitely someone that you know firsthand, but like, you're gonna learn so much from in a coaching perspective as well, aren't you?
Yeah. Like you said, when all's said and done, he's very good about leaving it on the pitch, and there's a lot of things that I've learned from him in just a short amount of time, and he's still a young manager, mind you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's crazy that
a few more greys nowadays, but sorry, it's the last one. Ian, I love you. Sorry.
Just said, gotta be real, but no, it's cool to learn from him, because I feel like he's very passionate, and he's very smart, tactically sound, and I think pretty advanced for his age in the way that he commands, a locker room. And I think there's an art to that, and I think it's not easy to do at that age. So
nah, mate, 100%.
Pretty good.
One thing that I think every player who's worked under him, and I haven't heard many too dissimilar, is how good he is actually on the training ground. I feel like in terms of USL coaches, like in terms of sessions day to day, I don't think anyone's come close. And then like his level of like how meticulous he is with his analysis and breakdown of teams, and he's one of those coaches that, for me, like when he said like this is how we're going to win the game, like I firmly believed that, like there and then. And you know, some coaches, they can go over film and you sort of just go like, oh, yeah, we're just going to play and see what happens. Like, but when like he's very deliberate and meticulous in that process, I think that's one of the most impressive things about him. You know, like, is there anything that kind of sticks out to you, like that you've sort of picked up already, for example?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good point. Like that's something I would point out is like when he's very smart, very meticulous, and when he has a plan, he has a plan. And I think what I really, really respect is that he's willing to live by the sword and die by the sword. Like if he's like, look, this is how we're going to play, we're going to press. It might not come off, but I was a player once. I want football to be enjoyable. I want you to work hard. It's not always going to be perfect. How can we manage it? But when he has a plan, he makes you believe in that plan, which I think is there's something to be said about that for sure. And like I said, he does a really good job of commanding the locker room and commanding the floor when he speaks. He makes you feel it. And on the training ground, like he's very good, equal parts, pushing you, but also, has banter. He can lighten the room when need be. I don't know how it was when you were here, but obviously he's got more experience now. So I think he's found, from what I'm seeing, obviously I have a limited, time with him, but like from what I'm seeing, he's got a very good balance and very good like foothold on who he's starting to become as like a manager, which is cool.
Yeah. 100%, mate. And you sort of touched on the squad there that you're building, and we won't go through it, but you've got my boy Gabriel down there, Gabriel Alves. That's my boy from Marshall. He's he played left back behind me in that Marshall team that won the national title. So
I forgot
he's
you were a winger at one point.
Yeah. Well, that was when I was actually quick back then. Now I can't move.
That's it, man. And you played up top a little bit as well, I thought.
Yeah, right? I played up top in the national championship final and scored.
Important. It's that easy. That's what every defender thinks too.
I know, right? And yeah, now I shout, head, kick, and just kick the ball in the box.
Head kick.
Dom, you've got more movement than me nowadays.
You reckon? Nah, mate. I reckon if I break into a sprint, my Achilles is gonna tear. You know that one? Like, if I try to sprint now, no, I'm done, man. I've been out the game now since since college, pretty much, like at a high level. So, yeah, I'm just on this gym thing, just lifting weights, bit of running. That's it, man. Like sprinting now, I'm scared. I'm actually scared. Like if I sprint, my Achilles might go.
I'm scared. Like, I'm still in the game and I'm scared.
I actually had a question for you. Like, as a player coach, what are your expectations from like a playing perspective? Like, are you just kind of mostly focusing on the coaching side and filling in as a player as needed, or like, are you trying to play every minute of every game? Like, what's that kind of balance like for you?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm very much still a player in my head. I want to play as much as I possibly can. Right. Obviously, with age comes, you have to be a little smarter. But I still feel like I'm in very good shape and want to keep pushing as much as I can to be on the field. Because obviously, at the end of the day, I like having a feel and a say of like what happens. So, very much a player, but I'm okay with stepping back at times if need be. And putting on that other hat, and that's part of the balance that I'm learning right now. So it's interesting. It's still preseason, and I feel like I'm getting little nuggets every day. So it's cool.
That's fair. So how are you going to deal with the situation that's inevitably going to come, where you have to tell a player, not only are you not playing, but I'm playing instead of you?
I would lose my head if you said that to me.
And that would be okay. Yeah, that's an interesting one. It's something I've thought about, but at the end of the day, I will say, regardless of what it is, it's team first. And I've done my time. So if I feel like the team needs me, That's just what's gonna happen. But no,
For sure.
jokes aside, there's an art to being able to manage players, and not that I'm at that level yet by any means, but like you see some of these older older managers, like in the way that they go about managing from top to bottom, like being able to put your arm around certain guys and hey, like still get the best out of them without losing them. And there's a real art to that, and I think it's processes that you continue to learn. Like I said, I keep saying that, but like I don't have all the answers now. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I did. So I'm just still trying to learn along the way and kind of store everything that I can. So
Yeah, 100%. I definitely think it's all in the delivery, right? Like, and how you communicate it. I remember college. It was the year we won the conference. We're playing against our biggest rivals, Charleston, Jamil, that you'll be familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm flying all season, playing great, and I've been dropped for that game. Like, basically kind of out of nowhere. Been told like maybe half an hour before we got out for the warm up. And the way it's been done is the assistant been sent to basically tell me that I'm not playing. They're saying like, "Oh, Dom, he's like, Dom, can I chat to you outside?" Never chatted to me before the game ever. Dom, can I chat to you outside? He's like, "Yeah, we're not starting you today. You're on the bench." And my head's just gone. So I'm in the warm up. You know when you're doing like serving and volleying, like I'm just volleying the ball away. I'm being an absolute brat. Like, I'm just letting the ball,
Toxic, you are. You're toxic.
I'm just letting the ball hit me. Like they're feeding it to me. Like just try and volley, and I'm just letting it hit me, and like it's just p rolling. And then the vice captain, my boy Paul, who you met as well, Jan. He just pulled me and been like, "Fucking sort yourself out. Like this is the biggest game of the season. Like stop being a brat." And I was like, "Yeah, fair. Fair enough." And then it was fine. We ended up drawing the game 0-0. Good result for us. It's fine. But yeah, if you just the way it was delivered, I wish the gaffer would have come to me and been like, "Look, you've been great all season. We want to do something different today. We think we're going to be like mostly defending, kind of low block, and we think this guy will be better for that, maybe better in the air, whatever. So you're going to be in the bench." I'd be like, "Cool, no problem." But it's kind of just like little rush. Yeah, sorry, we're not going to play. Gaffer said nothing to me. Doesn't say anything in the warm up, and I'm just like, "Hold on." Soon we got a better relationship than that, you know?
It's always such a tough one, isn't it? Like you said, the delivery is so important with it, you know? Like, at the end of the day, no one likes being told that they're being left out, but there's just a way to, like, limit the damage there, right? Like, it is really damage limitation, and, like, there's a way to go about it, and I feel like, especially, like... not so much the newer school of players. I do think there's a newer generation of footballer now that has a different outlook on maybe like not as confrontational or doesn't necessarily need, but like you said, Aaron, before, like, you know, it's learning that art of how to communicate that to different members of the locker room. But certainly for like, I feel like it's a dying, or I guess like more senior members of every locker room, like especially at the professional level, at very minimum, like you expect a conversation, right? Like, you know, tell me why I'm not playing if I've been playing regularly. What am I all of a sudden not doing to not be out there to do the job? Like, I'm sure those are challenges you're gonna face, Aaron. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure you're buzzing for them as well.
Now there's an art to it, man. Like being able to let people know where they stand and being straight up and honest and still being respected and liked as a manager. You know, obviously not a manager, but like you see there's guys in the world that are like that. Like I feel like I don't know how some of these guys are, like an Ancelotti or Mourinho, but like on the inside they still get the best out of their guys, while what I feel like I see is the guys know where they stand. And I think it's such a difficult thing, and there's a way to go about it. But when a manager is straight up with you, like honesty up front, tells you why you're not in the squad, there's nothing you can do but respect it. And if you
take that all day long as well, don't you?
Yeah, you take it all day.
Like, one thing that always, like, that just came into my head, and it'll always, when we talk about man management and we talk about this and that, it's when Gary Neville always used to say, like, he would go, like, Sir Alex Ferguson would go up to members of the United team at that time, at like the peak era, and obviously all the, times he rebuilt and, title winning teams. And he would tell players like, listen, like you're not even in the squad today because I need you in 3 weeks time. Okay. And somehow he would say it in a way where like the player would walk away and be like, he felt important. Like he goes like 3 weeks, I'm gonna do everything to be fucking spot like 100% in 3 weeks time. When in reality, he's just gone like, I don't need you for 3 weeks, mate. Like, how does that happen?
It's an art to it, 100%. And you touched on it too, like, it's a different day and age now where, like, I don't know if I'm totally accurate here, but it's a more sensitive era. Like, it's guys back then, I think just the way that people are now, it's with, like, everything just so instant gratification that, like, when they're told no, it's like, oh, what? Such a shock. And it used to be a lot more ruthless back then. So there's even more like emphasis on how you can keep the group belief from top to bottom, keep guys on board mentally. It's even harder now.
Yeah, and that goes both ways, like being a coach, but also being a player. Like, I mean, I've experienced it, and Dom, I don't know if you experienced it, like when, you were playing in your college days, but like, I mean, there's just things you can say that there's things that you can't say anymore that you did when you were, as little as 4 to 5 years ago. Things you can do to other people in a locker room, pranks, a bit of banter here and there. Like that, the world is changing, and like football is changing along with it, right? So like, not only from a coach's perspective, but like a teammate's perspective, like you just have to be so careful in the way that you deliver things, especially to the younger generation. Like you said, it's I don't know, call me old school. I mean, I'm 26, so I'm not old school whatsoever, but like I would take my football upbringing over this current crops every single day of the week. I mean, I feel like it shaped who I am as a person. I know, Dom, you grew up playing in England the same way that I do. Like, it's a different world, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what's happened is the world's just changed. So it's not a football thing. It's just a reflection of society, right? I think there's been more protection, there's been more speak about, how you communicate with other people and what you do and what you're allowed to say and not say. And then that's just creeped into football naturally, right? But I completely agree with you. I feel like we're seeing it, right? In that the externality of that is that I just don't feel we've got as good players as we did before. Because of this kind of just like, oh, just leave them alone and don't tackle this person hard in training and don't make them be humble and wash the boots and all of that stuff that the previous generation had to do. It's now you got a player who's maybe 17, 18, comes out as on fire, and then 22, 23, they're off playing in Saudi Arabia or something. So, yeah, I definitely think it's just a change. And like, I don't know, I often feel like these things come in circles. So maybe we'll go back to what we were doing before for the next generation, maybe in 10, 15 years it will come full circle. Maybe that's wishful thinking, I don't know. But when I have children, I'm going to bring them up in the sporting environment the same way I did. So, yeah, I guess we'll see.
It makes the reward that much sweeter when you have to work for it a little more, you know what I mean?
100%.
Like
100%.
You're saying that it's like, having to wash the first team guys' boots and having to go through the trials and tribulations when you're in academies, and like it was tougher upbringing, and then you get to that first team and you're like, oh my god, I made it. Yeah. And now it's like things are just given, and it's just, call it what it is, it's the changing of the world, whatever. People use the term soft, it is what it is. Like I said, it's an interesting time. It's a critical time for footballers, and you're seeing definitely a different era. But I definitely wish these things came in cycles in terms of the way it was played, because we're not seeing I had a conversation about this with somebody the other day. We're not seeing the goals we used to see in the game.
Oh man,
Like, let's think about some of the goals you used to see. Just the
Like,
the creativity and the it's
just
crazy.
the I don't know. I feel like there's one player that this season that I've seen play football that embodies it, and he's now fucked off to Saudi, so it doesn't fucking matter anymore. But Duran, yeah, like for me, he was like the only person that I watched this season in the Premier League. Like Cole Palmer's had that in the past, like last season and whatnot. But he was just that person that just went fuck it, like, and just hit it from 40 yards and it flew in. How many times do you see someone score from 40 yards nowadays? Like, it's hardly ever, is it?
Yeah.
Is that down to like? Do you think that's down to coaches like being very strict and so system based nowadays, or do you think that's down to the personality of the players though? Because I think it can go both ways, right?
I think it's the coaching. I think in academy you've got under 12s, 13s, 14s who are talking about low blocks, and I'm like,
Yeah,
we was talking about none of that. It was like basic drills. Like,
it was about nutmegs
bit of shape, little bit of shape, but like a lot of the time you're spending the last 30 minutes of training just go and play. And like the coach gaffer will stop it and be like, stop, all right, this is what you should have done in this passage and whatnot. But it was very like go and play and like play off your instincts, get out someone do. Now it's like this is the pattern of play. The goalkeeper has the ball, you pass it to the left back, centre mid checks in, he drops it to the other centre, we spread it to the. It's like at 12 or 13, why are you doing that? In fact, you've got like 5 years later down the line when you're really getting closer to men's football where you can learn like structures and patterns of play and all that stuff. Like as a kid, just express yourself, like have fun. But there's not many players now that you see that are like just going and expressing themselves. Everything is like really like structured and like perfect. But it's making it boring. It's making the game boring. It's
rigid.
so boring.
Very
Boring.
It's like,
boring.
Even U11, U12 teams are trying to be like 2022 City, It's like we're not here to create like perfect patterns like that. Like go have fun, express yourself. Obviously you have some tactics, but it feels like the creativity of the game is just being sucked out, and it sounds bad.
100%.
It's like, I would love to get back to a point where obviously tactics are super important, but like where guys take a couple guys on and just pull one from 35 yards out. I always think of that that Cisse goal, the Newcastle goal.
The bend. Yeah.
But you never see goals like that anymore.
What right have you got to score from there? And like, you know what I mean? It's really like if you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the raffle.
Yeah. Nobody is shooting that nowadays. Guys are taking that down, trying to combine 1-2, walk the ball into the net. It's like it just doesn't happen anymore.
Like, and you think about like, for example, the Wayne Rooney's volley that he scored against Newcastle earlier in his career.
Oh yeah.
And he said the only reason I hit it was because I was so pissed off from speaking to the ref that I should have got a foul 30 seconds earlier that I just put my foot through the ball. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't that thought process just doesn't go through a modern footballer's head, does it? Like that would, like you said, bring it down, maybe like secure it, like, and then we can play in this area. And he just thought, fuck it, and it's gone top corner.
Smashed it. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I feel like that's a topic that we could go round and round in circles on all day because it's something that I miss from football, and I'm sure. What was it? Prime Barclays. That was the Twitter saying at the time on it. Yeah. Prime Barclays. Listen, there is one more topic that I think we wouldn't be having Aaron Walker on the show that I want to just kind of touch on without, diving into this topic a little bit, and that is your time at Greenville. Obviously, 131 appearances, wearing the armband, winning a title. Just kind of, it was at the end of the day, like, I genuinely, my time when I came into League One and whatever, like, I associated Greenville Triumph with like John Harkes, Aaron Walker, Lucas Coutinho, Don Smart, Evan Lee, Polak, these players like that really built Greenville Triumph from the ground up. what kind of everlasting impact has that club had on your life? And, just kind of talk to us a little bit about your time at the club there and how much you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was very special to me. Big time family feel club. Very, very, like a huge impetus on, community, club, family, like being a tight-knit group from top to bottom, front office, players, staff. And that's the vision that John had when he came to Greenville. And the the thing that sticks out to me above, the titles and getting to the playoffs every year and all those things is like the culture can really drive everything. I think that's something that, like, the culture was established from day one, having been there from the start, and guys bought in, and you can go so far with that. You really, like, at this level, um, more so than probably the highest of levels, but at this level, if you have, a culture in place and people buy in and, you know, practice the things that John tried to instill in us with servant leadership and team first mentality and putting others before yourself. And, like, it sounds all like cliches, but when you see it come to life and you see it actually work, you're like, oh, wow, like, this is something you can really believe in. And that for me was something that I take away. I mean, it felt like home to me. I'm from Atlanta, but Greenville totally felt like home, somewhere I could end up staying, and definitely learned a ton in that club, and just special times, really.
I love that, mate. I love that, and I think you could feel that from the outside as well. Like, especially, you have your own opinion and whatnot, but I feel like even the old ground, right? Like, it was so, like, it was always packed whenever I went to play Greenville away. It was close to the pitch. Like, I really felt like it was a tough place to go.
Right.
And you compare that now with the direction they've gone with playing in the new stadium and whatnot. I just don't feel like it has yet to find that formula that you guys had, that led you to so much success. I always forget this, but obviously Clousey was part of your team where you won the title. So Clousey was actually part of Vertex Soccer, who I work for now. He's actually one of the main reasons why I ended up in America in the first place.
It's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a small world.
He's a good friend of mine. Just like I was, funny story actually. Paul, 2019, the very first year of Greenville, we go to preseason down to IMG, which for a League One club, John was like, look, we're going to have this standard. Obviously they learned after that year that the budget is a little bit tighter than they thought. So we never went to IMG again. But I get down there. Obviously I'm a center mid. Paul's a center mid. We get down there. They're like, hey, your roommate, he's coming in late. He'll be in like a day or two later. But he's a center mid. He's from England. His name's Paul Klaus. You'll like him. He's a sound guy. And he comes in, I think it's a second day maybe. I could be completely wrong. This was a long time ago. But he comes in from England to IMG very late. Like late in the middle of the night. And I'm asleep already. He comes in. I don't hear him. And then at like 3 or 3:30, I always tell this story, Paul. It's so funny. I hear like this like crumbling of like a wrapper. I'm like, what is that noise? I wake up. It's pitch black. I don't see anything. I just hear somebody, like a wrapper, and I hear somebody eating. I'm like, it's 3:30 in the morning. What's going on here? Don't think anything of it. Wake up the next day. We go train, have the normal day that you do down there, 2 a day or whatever it is. Next night, we go to bed. 3:30, 4 a.m. I hear a wrapper again. Same sound, like just eating wrapper. I'm like, what is going on? The next morning, I'm like, did you hear anything in last night? Like, in the middle of the night, and he's like, "Oh yeah, mate, sorry, I forgot to tell you. I have a granola bar at like 3:30 every night. Like I wake up starving in the middle of the night." And he just would every
What?
night, like, yeah, it was like my first time meeting him, and I was like, this guy is weird, man. What is at long
What?
range, he ends
Does
up
he set an alarm?
I,
Or
I
like,
don't, just says he wakes up in the middle of the night starving, and he's eating these granola bars. And the first couple of nights, I obviously don't know the guy, so I'm like, I don't really say anything much to him, but I'm like talking to the teammates, and I'm like, this new guy's eating granola bars in the middle of the night, waking me up. Like, what are we doing? Getting Nature Valley crumbs on his bed.
it's like a fucking gerbil,
like,
just
he's
like
a psychopath.
storing it.
He's a psychopath, and then fast forward a couple years, and I'm at his wedding. We're like this. I mean, Paul's a really good friend of mine. I've hung out with him, and I know Kat super well, and their son George. They're so close to me, so it's funny. Greenville, like, that was just how it was. Guys got very tight. So,
Nah, that's a funny story, mate. I've never. Funny enough, he's never told me that one. So, so I'll have to ask him about that off camera as well. But nah, I think you talked about there, like, obviously that family feel and whatnot that you created down in Greenville, and it resulted in a title as well. So I know how like special that feeling is, and you also brought the first one to Greenville. It was a weird one, right? Because you didn't play the final, if I remember rightly. Like, what was kind of the dynamic there? Was it like a COVID related thing?
yeah, 2020. It was a strange year. We had, I believe it was 2020. Yeah, I mean, it was during COVID. We shortened season. I believe it was 16 games. Like, again, it's a blur, but we were in first place going into what was going to be the final against Omaha, and that
You were ahead by a while as well, weren't you? Like, you were far and away first.
Yeah, that is one thing where it like kind of feels justified, because we started the year and just took off, and we were up there the whole year, had an incredible year, just so solid. And we were going to play Omaha in the final, and that week of training leading up, it was obviously like, tense. And the day, I think it was the day before we were gonna the day before we were gonna play, we were at training, and it's a little tense, like I said, and then we're doing our last, I believe it's like our last exercise. We're about to play maybe a small-sided or patterns of play or something right before we go back into the locker room, and the staff kind of gets together, has like a quick chat, and the mood just changed like instantly. It was like what's going on here? And like we're like, all right, so let's do some patterns of play. Like, they were just so loose, like so excited, and we we're like, what's going on here? Like, and we'd finish our patterns of play, and then they like, I can't quite remember, but they brought us in and they told us, like, essentially, I guess the Omaha team had come down with a bad outbreak of COVID, and that the league decided to cancel the final and just award us the trophy, because it was such a strange time. Like, at that time, it was the height of COVID, so they weren't going to make the trip. Obviously couldn't fly, all the in-market, like, all that stuff was such a complicated thing. So the league was like, look, they won the league, we're going to give them the trophy. And they told us at training, it was crazy. It was scenes. Like, we had the day before training, or the day before our games, we would drive to the stadium field to train on the stadium field. We were normally on the training facility's grass, but you drive to the turf kind of the day before, get used to it, and then so it's like a 10-minute drive back to the locker room. We drive back, everybody's stopping at the gas station getting adult beverages. We go into the locker room, and it's just like, it was pandemonium, champagne. Like, they had taped up the locker room, people are going crazy. I mean, it was like, what did this really just happen? Because it felt so like strange celebrating it, because we didn't really play the final, but at the same time, with the year that we had, how we just took off and stayed up there, it felt like, okay, like, this was well deserved. So yeah, it was crazy, but it was sweet.
Oh, mate, I thought, I was really hoping you were going to come out with something like, yeah, Harksey went inside and just came out with a fucking two 30 racks in each hand and said, "We've done it, boys."
Basically what happened.
That's so sick, mate. You know what? I mean, obviously, achievements are achievements. Not not comparing the two. However, it reminds me of like the videos of like you see like the Leicester players. Like obviously, it was one out of their hands. You know what I mean? Like that's what that sort of feels like. You were waiting for something to happen, and then it just got handed to you, right? Like handed to in quotations because, like you said, you were far and away the best team. But like, yeah, I bet it was scenes, mate. I bet it was unbelievable. So, Ilau was on that Omaha team, Dom. I remember all this happening. Like, yeah, like it was. I think it was Ilau's like flatmate, and there was like 3 of the lads or 4 players were in one flat, and one of them got COVID, which is that funny time where if one gets it, automatically 4 players are like written off. Like it was just. Yeah, it's one of those. But, mate, I bet that was a crazy day. I bet that's one you'll never forget for the rest of your life, eh?
Yeah, it was wild. We did like I think the next day, because obviously fans had planned on doing the final and coming to the final. They did like a mock final. So we had like, it was like an inner squad. People were just like having a good time, joking around. It felt like what you'd see as like a normal like all-star game now where guys just, they're running around having fun.
Half pissed or what?
Fans were into it too much. Yeah. Yeah, you know how it goes. So it was all laughs. But at the end of it, we got to lift the trophy and proper celebrate even more than we did the night before. So it was just a sick weekend.
Sick.
That's so cool. That's that's just unique, innit? Like,
It was.
we won it in 90 minutes. It seems fucking boring.
Yeah. You didn't get you didn't get the 2-day experience. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure you
where was my exhibition game to lift the trophy? Like,
yeah, it was like ended up being like 7-5. Goal celebrations were crazy. It was nonsense.
I bet that was so cool, man. Fucking hell. Well, wow, we've well, I think it would be hard to top it, but I guess we're going to find out because it's about that time in the show where I pass it over to Dom, and he's going to take you through our staple piece section or segment, don't know what the terminology is, of the Backstick podcast. So, Aaron, I'm going to hand over to Dom, and he's going to take you through extra time.
Welcome. And welcome back for anyone who's already, familiar with this section. I'm your host with the most. On the Instagram and the social medias, they're calling me Steve Harvey with a skin fade. And so what I do in this section is I take each guest through 4 quick fire questions. So welcome to Extra Time, Mr. Aaron Walker. The first question is, who is the best player you've played with?
Oh my gosh.
Yep. We're starting there. Nice and hot. You're gonna upset some people today, but it's alright. It's okay.
It's tough. I wanna say, I'm gonna say he's not someone that jumps out, like he's not putting up a ton of stats, but this guy, when I was in Cincinnati, was so freaking talented. Corbin Bone. And not many, I don't know, some people probably know the name, played in the MLS for a bit, played at Cincinnati, ended up at Louisville, center mid, but just so smart and so tidy. I believe he was drafted by Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. And it was it's a story where I believe it was like the year right after, like, I don't know if you remember Cuauhtemoc Blanco, I think was his name. He was a legend at Chicago Fire, wore the 10 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He retires. Corbin gets drafted pretty high. He was a solid college player. And I think they offered him the 10. And this was just the kind of guy that Corbin was. He was like, I'm not taking that. Like, he's just such a humble dude. But like one of the most sneaky like players. Like he's so tidy, you can't ever get close to him. He's just like touch play. Like he's just a proper like center mid. He's so good. He's so like thoughtful with everything he's doing. He's one of those guys that could think 3 or 4 passes ahead, and he sees the game at such a high level. And like I said, he's not going to jump out at you. He's not one of those strikers that scores a million goals. But this guy was next level.
Sick. Big up him. Right. The next question is, who is the best player you've played against?
That was, let's see, probably that same year we played Valencia in a summer friendly. Really, really cool experience. It was like we had like 30,000 fans come out.
Wow.
Cincinnati was just a different level. The fan base was crazy. It made no sense for USL. But we played Valencia, and a lot of people probably know Parejo. I think he's at, I don't know where he's at now.
Danny Parejo.
Danny Parejo.
Mm-hmm.
Center mid, just so clean. Like another guy that's jumping out. And there were a lot of good names on that team. Played Negredo was up top, Zaza. There's just so many good players, but he like another guy you just couldn't get close to. He was unpressable. Anytime you got close, he's playing a one-touch pass around the corner, and you're in the spin cycle. You're running around, and you're just like you're doing rondos just for fun. And I know it was just like taking the piss out of us, and we were just like, I need a neck brace. Like it was mad. That guy he's unreal.
Yeah, baller, top baller. Right, I've got another question for you, and you're probably gonna really upset some people with this one. Yeah. But if you can pick 3 past or present teammates for a night out, who would they be and why?
I'm gonna have to go through the Rolodex here. I'd say maybe Tyler Pollock from Greenville.
Yeah.
Always a good time. Funny, just goofball, all fun to have around. Who else? So I played with, you guys might know the name actually. My first ever contract in Iceland, he was also kind of a player coach at the time, but he was a center mid, and so we played alongside each other. Nigel Quasi.
Okay,
Yeah.
Played at Norwich and that. Yeah.
He played in the Prem time, and he's your typical just English, like, his banter was like, here, man, like pranks, like old school English, like just knew how to like be fun and funny. He was unbelievable. He's definitely in there. Let me think of who else we got. That's so tough. I had 2 incredible roommates in Cincinnati as well that I'd probably have to, it'd be tough to pick between those 2, but Jimmy McLaughlin and Harrison Delbridge, both hilarious human beings. Jimmy was just a wild card. I'll say Jimmy just because he knew what he was going to do. He was just always out in left field doing whatever, and just always entertaining. The guy knew how to put on a show, and it didn't take much for him to have to do that. So he was always a bit of a liability, but the best kind of liability.
We love those. It's always good to just have someone that at any moment they can just take the night out somewhere wild, and there's a great story that comes from it. So we love her.
Make something happen.
Sometimes you got to take the game by the scruff of the neck.
Stand up and be that guy, and it would be him. You know, you'd turn around for 1 second, and then turn around, and you see him up on a table, not staring out the world, just dancing on a table, and you're like, oh my god! And then he falls off the table, and Jimmy, forgive me, but he's prime.
I love it. Right, to wrap us up, What would you say is your biggest achievement on the pitch so far?
I think probably winning that title. I've asked that before, and like I've thought, is it? But I think so, and I think winning the trophy because the first year, 2019, we made the final, Greenville, and we lost in the final, and we played arguably the best game we had played all year. I mean, we were not favored in that game. It was North Texas, who used to be in the league. It was like FC Dallas's second team, and they were incredible. I mean, they had a lot of players that you see now, like Ricardo Pepi was on that team. Well, it's Cervania, like all these guys now in the MLS and have moved on to Europe and stuff like that. And that team was unbelievable. And we went in there away from home and played the best we've ever played. And it was just so hard to swallow that we created so many chances, hit the post, and came away with nothing. And then we were able to get it, and finally win it. And it just felt so sweet and justified. So that's probably it.
Sick, sick, sick. No, respect. Respect. It's always nice winning, I think we've had that a few times in here, right? Like winning the championship. Like getting personal awards is nice, but winning the championship with your team that you've grafted for all season is always nice. But that wraps us up for extra time. And I'm gonna kick it back to Jan, who's gonna close us out.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love it. I love these extra times, man. It's arguably my favourite part of the show because
That's close.
I love seeing the guests squirm when you give them the night out question. Shouldn't you? I might say this on every single episode, but like it is my favourite part because you just see them replaying so many different parts in their head.
You can see him dumping it down too, I'm sure, trying to be a little PG.
Oh yeah, a little bit more political. For anyone watching on the YouTube there, I was muted, but I choked on. I don't know if you can see my eyes have been watering. I just choked on a massive gulp of water, and I was literally half dead over here whilst you lot were talking about, lifting the trophy of Greenville. So for any of the viewers, I am all right. Thanks. The lads didn't give two shits, but I'm all right.
I mean, I was trying to be discreet for you, and I was thinking, maybe when you edit it, you would just have us two on the screen so you could do your thing. But you draw attention to it now, so yeah. If you didn't notice, just go back about a minute, watch Jamil absolutely dying. He's trying to his head off. He's got his head back here.
Mate,
I'm trying to do my thing. So
honestly, I was like, my eyes were like bloodshot and everything, mate. I'm thinking, I genuinely, the thought crossed my mind. I was like, I'm about to text Dom here and be like, can you close us out?
Oh, class,
Oh man, okay, but no, I'm alive, I'm kicking, and I'm well, and that, and I'm well enough to kind of to acknowledge that I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this because for two reasons. One, it's been a fun episode, but two, I feel like this has hit so many this has ticked so many boxes that like initially, I swear to God, I like half the shit that we've spoken about wasn't even on the episode plan. Like I've had to like purposefully like check little things that I wanted to, but like this conversation took it on a life of its own, and I've really enjoyed it, mate. Aaron, I really hope you have as well, mate.
Yeah, that was sick. You never know, like when you're going into these things, what you're going to be asked and what you're going to talk about. But when it kind of flows like that, and when you can be real, like I said, it's cool, and it feels like genuine conversation, which I think is super important. It's not just like, hey, welcome to the podcast. It's not
it's not that you've ever done any of them, or if you go, they're not anywhere in the USL space, right?
Yeah, no, super polished. Yeah, no, that's the way to do it, man. Like even the questions at the end, like let's being real and as much as you can be. But no, I really enjoyed it. It's a good conversation.
Dope. Yeah, we enjoyed it too, man. That was sick. That was a good one.
Yeah, and listen, We hope you did as well. And I know Dom kind of ran over it at the beginning of the show, but here's just another reminder, okay? We're not going anywhere. The Backstick Pod is here. It's thriving. We're just over 2 months in now, and you know we're not going anywhere. We're enjoying ourselves too much to stop. So get on board, like, subscribe at the Backstick Pod on all the socials. Go subscribe, like on YouTube. You can watch and listen to every single previous episode of the Backstick Podcast if you're new here. On Apple, Spotify, as I said, YouTube, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your pods, we're there. So, as I said, get on board and, you know, let's do this together. But anyway, once again, from myself and Dom, Aaron, thanks ever so much for coming on the show, mate. And then to all of you guys, I've given you the tools. Go out there and use them. But until then, from myself, from Dom, and from Aaron, thanks ever so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.